Welcome to our exploration of Paul's commands in 1 Corinthians 6 from a Torah-centric perspective. Today we'll delve deep into the ancient roots of Paul's teachings, tracing them back to the Torah and the prophets. Paul's first command in 1 Corinthians 6:1 states, "When one of you has a grievance against another, does he dare go to law before the unrighteous instead of the saints?" This instruction echoes the Torah's emphasis on resolving disputes within the community. In Exodus 18:25-26, we read, "Moses chose able men out of all Israel, and made them heads over the people, chiefs of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. And they judged the people at all times. Any hard case they brought to Moses, but any small matter they decided themselves." Similarly, Deuteronomy 1:16-17 instructs, "And I charged your judges at that time, hear the cases between your brothers, and judge righteously between a man and his brother, or the alien who is with him. You shall not be partial in judgment. You shall hear the small and the great alike. You shall not be intimidated by anyone, for the judgment is Elohim's." Paul's adaptation of this principle for the early church community reflects the importance of maintaining unity and resolving conflicts internally. This approach aligns with Yeshua's teaching in Matthew 18:15-17. "If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector." The second command, closely related to the first, is found in 1 Corinthians 6 verse 2-5, where Paul instructs believers to judge disputes within the church. This command is rooted in the judicial system outlined in the Torah. Deuteronomy 16:18 states, "You shall appoint judges and officers in all your towns that Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you, according to your tribes, and they shall judge the people with righteous judgment." Furthermore, Deuteronomy 17:8-9 provides guidance for more complex cases. "If any case arises requiring decision between one kind of homicide and another, one kind of legal right and another, or one kind of assault and another, any case within your towns that is too difficult for you, then you shall arise and go up to the place that Yahuwah your Elohim will choose. And you shall come to the Levitical priests and to the judge who is in office in those days, and you shall consult them, and they shall declare to you the decision." Paul's application of these principles to the early church emphasizes the believer's responsibility to maintain justice and order within their community, rather than relying on external, potentially unbelieving authorities. The third command in 1 Corinthians 6:8 states, "But you yourselves wrong and defraud, even your own brothers." This admonition against wronging and defrauding others is deeply rooted in Torah principles. Leviticus 19:13 commands, "You shall not oppress your neighbor or rob him. The wages of a hired worker shall not remain with you all night until the morning." Deuteronomy 24:4-15 further emphasizes this point. "You shall not oppress a hired worker who is poor and needy, whether he is one of your brothers or one of the sojourners who are in your land within your towns. You shall give him his wages on the same day, before the sun sets, for he is poor and counts on it, lest he cry against you to Yahuwah, and you be guilty of sin." The prophet Amos also strongly condemns such behavior in Amos 8:4-6. "Hear this, you who trample on the needy, and bring the poor of the land to an end, saying, When will the new moon be over, that we may sell grain, and the Sabbath, that we may offer wheat for sale, that we may make the ephah small and the shekel great, and deal deceitfully with false balances, that we may buy the poor for silver and the needy for a pair of sandals, and sell the chaff of the wheat." Paul's command reflects the Torah's and the prophets' consistent emphasis on justice, honesty, and fair treatment, especially within the community of believers. The fourth command, found in 1 Corinthians 6:18, is particularly emphatic. "Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body." This instruction is grounded in numerous Torah passages. Leviticus 18:6-23 provides a comprehensive list of prohibited sexual relationships, prefaced with the statement in verse 5, "You shall therefore keep my statutes and my rules. If a person does them, he shall live by them. I am Yahuwah." Deuteronomy 23:17 further emphasizes, "None of the daughters of Israel shall be a cult prostitute, and none of the sons of Israel shall be a cult prostitute." The wisdom literature also warns against sexual immorality, as seen in Proverbs 6:32, "He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself." Paul's command to flee sexual immorality aligns with Yeshua's teaching in Matthew 5:27-28. "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart." This demonstrates the continuity between the Torah's sexual ethics and the teachings of Yeshua and Paul. The final command in this chapter, found in 1 Corinthians 6 verse 20, states, "For you were bought with a price, so glorify Elohim in your body." This instruction to honor Elohim with one's body draws from the Torah's holistic view of worship and service to Elohim. Deuteronomy 6:5 commands, "You shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might." Leviticus 19 verse 2 emphasizes the call to holiness. "Speak to all the congregation of the people of Israel and say to them, 'You shall be holy, for I Yahuwah your Elohim am holy.'" This concept of holiness encompasses not just spiritual matters, but physical actions as well. The idea of being bought with a price echoes the language of redemption used in Exodus 6:6. "Say therefore to the people of Israel, I am Yahuwah, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great acts of judgment." Paul applies this concept of redemption to the believer's relationship with Yeshua, emphasizing the responsibility to honor Elohim that comes with this redemption. As we reflect on Paul's teachings in 1 Corinthians 6, we see a profound demonstration of the Torah's eternal relevance. Paul's instructions aren't new inventions, but rather faithful applications of Yahuwah's timeless commands to the specific situations faced by the early believers. From resolving disputes to maintaining sexual purity, Paul consistently points back to the unchanging standards set forth in the Torah. This reminds us that Yahuwah's instructions are not bound by time or culture, but remain the perfect guide for righteous living in every generation. Paul's example challenges us to dive deeper into the Torah, to study it diligently and apply it carefully to our lives. It shows us that far from being obsolete, the Torah contains the wisdom we need to navigate even the most complex social and moral issues of our day. As we conclude, let us be encouraged to approach the Torah with reverence and commitment, knowing that in its pages we find Yahuwah's perfect will for his people. May we, like Paul, strive to understand and obey Yahuwah's instructions fully, allowing them to shape every aspect of our lives and communities. Until next time, may we all grow in our love for Yahuwah's Torah and in our ability to walk in its ways. Shalom.